Good morning to all. I am Jency and James. Today I am going to explain you about antenatal abdominal examination. Pregnancy is a creative and productive period in every woman's life. It is one of the vital events which need care from conception to postnatal period. Its main goal is to provide regular checkups to the mother to prevent potential health problems during pregnancy. As nurses are an integral part of antenatal care, knowledge about antenatal abdominal examination is necessary. It not only increases the knowledge and skills of the nurses, but it also provides antenatal care and prevents potential health problems to the pregnant woman. Antenatal abdominal examination is a thorough and systemic examination of pregnant woman's abdomen beyond 28 weeks of pregnancy. Its main goal is to assess the gestational week, to find out the lie of the fetus, position of the fetus, engagement of the fetus, attitude of the fetus, denominator of the fetus, presentation of the fetus, descent of the presenting part, and also to auscultate the fetal heart sounds. Now the aims of antenatal abdominal examination. The aims of antenatal abdominal examination include to observe the signs of pregnancy, to estimate the gestational age, to auscultate the fetal heart sounds, and to locate the lie, presentation, position and engagement.
Fetal lie. Fetal lie refers to the relationship between the long axis of fetus with respect to the long axis of the mother. The possibilities include a longitudinal lie, a transverse lie, and on occasion an oblique lie. Longitudinal lie is a situation in which the long axis of fetus is parallel to that of the mother. In presentation, either the head or breech presents first. Oblique lie is a situation in which the long axis of fetus crosses that of the maternal body at an angle close to 45 degrees. In presentation, the shoulder usually presents first, but the arm or part of the trunk may also come first. Transverse lie is a situation in which the long axis of the fetus is transverse to that of the mother. Fetal presentation. It refers to the part of the fetus that lies at the pelvic brim. Thus, the various presentations are cephalic presentation, breech presentation, and shoulder presentation. Attitude. It is the relation of the fetal head and limbs to its trunk. Normally, fetus lies in the attitude of complete flexion. Other attitudes include deflection and extension. Denominator. It is the arbitrary fixed point of any presenting part which comes in relation to different quadrants of maternal pelvis. In vertex presentation, denominator is the occiput. In breech presentation, it is sacrum. And in face presentation, denominator is venter. Position. Position is the relation of denominator to different quadrants of pelvis. The most frequent position are left occipito-anterior and right occipito-anterior. Left occipito-anterior LOA is in 13% of cases. Right occipito-anterior ROA is in 10% of cases. Left occipito-transverse LOT is in 40% of cases. Right occipito-transverse ROT is in 24% of cases. Left occipito-posterior LOP is in 3% of cases. Right occipito-posterior ROP is in 7% of cases. Occipito-anterior is in 2% of cases and occipito-posterior OP is in 1% of cases. Engagement. The fetal head descends into the pelvic cavity so that only a small part of it can be felt abdominally.
The preliminaries of antenatal abdominal examination. The preliminaries of antenatal abdominal examination include to take a verbal consent from the patient. Then the patient is asked to empty the bladder. The examiner washes hands and the patient is asked to lie down in dorsal position. Then the abdomen of the patient is fully exposed and the examiner stands at the right side of the patient. Always remember the privacy of the patient should be maintained. Now articles required. In articles required, we need a bed sheet to drape the patient. Then we need 2-inch tapes. First, to measure the abdominal circumference. Second, to measure the fundal height. Then we need a fetoscope to auscultate fetal heart sound. Then we need a watch with seconds hand to count the fetal heart sound. Then we need a paper and a pen to document the findings. Steps of antenatal abdominal examination. There are 3 steps in antenatal abdominal examination: inspection, palpation, auscultation. The first step is inspection. Inspection means to inspect or to observe. Here we observe various signs of pregnancy. It includes the size, shape, contour, fetal movements, umbilicus, skin changes like linea nigra and stria gravidarum, flanks, status of the bladder.
size of the uterus at 12 weeks is at symphysis pubis. At 14th week, it is 2.5 centimeter above the symphysis pubis. At 16th week, it is 5 centimeter above the symphysis pubis. 20th week, it is below the umbilicus. 24th week, it is at the level of umbilicus. 28th week, it is at lower 1/3 distance from umbilicus and ensiform. At 32nd week, fundus occupies lower 2/3 of the lateral space. At 36th week, fundus reaches near the subcostal arc. At 38th week, fundus reaches the subcostal arc below the ensiform cartilage. At 40th week, fundus sinks below 36th week but lies above 32 week. This is called shelving of uterine fundus.
Now next, we'll assess the shape of the uterus. In early pregnancy, the shape of the uterus is piriform or pear-shaped. At 12 weeks, it is globular in shape. And when it is 28 weeks, dome-shaped, round and spherical. And when the uterus is 36 weeks, it is ovoid in shape. The shape of the uterus is longer than it is broad when the lie of the fetus is longitudinal, as in majority of cases. If the lie of the fetus is transverse, the uterus is low and broad. Now we'll see the contour of the uterus. The contour of the uterus can be convex, cylindrical or spherical in shape. Now next, fetal movements. Fetal movements are easily felt as early as 20 weeks of pregnancy. We can observe the fetal movements or they may be felt by the mother. Then we'll note the umbilicus. Umbilicus of the abdomen during pregnancy may be dimpled, protruded or flat.
During the last trimester, in a primigravida woman, the height of the uterus will come down, but the flanks of the abdomen will fill out. This occurs because the baby tends to descend into the pelvic cavity at this time. In a multipara woman, the flanks fill out after the onset of labor. Skin changes. Skin changes include linea nigra. Linea nigra is a normal dark line pigmentation running longitudinally in the center of the abdomen and sometimes above the umbilicus. Linea nigra is caused by melanocyte stimulating hormone. Stria gravidarum is a slightly depressed linear marks with varying lengths and width. In a multipara woman, we can see stria albicans. Stria albicans are white or colorless lines on the abdomen, caused by mechanical stretching of the skin with weakening of elastic tissue. Scars of previous obstetrics or abdominal surgery should be observed.
second step is palpation. In palpation, first of all, we will measure the abdominal circumference of the patient. For measuring the abdominal circumference, the inch tape is laid beneath the patient in this way. Then, we measure the abdominal circumference at the level of umbilicus. Now see, this is the umbilicus and we will measure the circumference in this way. Now you can see this is 96 centimeters. Normal abdominal circumference ranges from 95 to 100 centimeters. Next, we will measure the height of the uterus. The height of the uterus is measured in two ways. First with inch tape and second with Palmer method. Now before measuring the fundal height, we will warm our hands. Then we will palpate the fundus. If suppose here is the resistant fells, we will keep the ulnar border of our left hand on the fundus. Then with the help of inch tape, we will measure the fundal height from symphysis pubis to the fundus. Now this measures to be 30 centimeters. Measure the height of the uterus by Palmer method. Without moving our hands from the fundus, we will measure the fundal height in weeks. Till the level of umbilicus, it is 24 weeks. After that, every one finger corresponds to 1 week. So it is 24 to 28 weeks, 28 to 32 weeks. We will move on to palpation. In palpation, there are 4 grips. First grip is the fundal grip or the first maneuver. Second grip is the lateral grip or umbilical grip, which is the second maneuver. Third is the pollic grip or the third Leopold. And fourth is the pelvic grip or the fourth Leopold. Starting palpation, the things which is to be kept in mind are: palpation should be done with utmost gentleness. Clumsy and purposeless palpation is not only uninformative, but it may cause uterine irritability. During uterine contractions, palpation is avoided. Palpation should be done by the palms of the finger in using enough precise manner. The palpation should be done smoothly to avoid contractions. Now, without moving the hand from the fundus, we will assess the first grip, that is the fundal grip. In fundal grip, both the hands are laid flat on the fundus. And to find out which pole of the fetus is lying at the fundus, the palpation is done in this way. If we feel a broad, soft and irregular mass, then it suggests of buttocks. But if we feel a smooth, hard and globular mass, then it suggests of fetal head. In transverse lie, neither of the poles is palpated in the fundal area.
If the height of the uterus is more than the period of amenorrhea, it may be due to mistaken date of last menstruation period, twins, polyhydramnios, big baby, pelvic tumors, ovarian or fibroid, concealed accidental hemorrhage. If the uterus is less than the period of amenorrhea, then it may be due to mistaken date of last menstrual period, scanty liquor amni, fetal growth retardation, intrauterine fetal death.
Second grip is the lateral grip or the umbilical grip, which is also known as second maneuver. This palpation is done facing the patient's face. The hands are to be placed on either side of the umbilicus to palpate one after the other the sides and the front of the uterus to find out the position of the back, limbs and anterior shoulder. We'll palpate the farther side first, then the nearest side. While palpating the farther side, the nearest side is pushed forward. The palpation is done in this way. Now, the farther side is pushed and the nearest side is palpated. If we feel a smooth, curved and resistant feel, then it suggests of back of the fetus. But if we feel small lobe-like parts, then it suggests of limbs of the fetus. The next grip is the pelvic grip or the fourth Leopold. Usually, the fourth Leopold is done first before the third Leopold. In the fourth Leopold, the pelvic area is palpated. We will rotate our hands in this way to palpate the pelvic part. Now, the pelvic grip is done by facing the patient's feet. The four fingers of both the hands are placed on either side of the midline of the lower pole of the uterus and parallel to the inguinal ligament. Then the pelvic grip pole is palpated in this way. If we feel a hard globular mass, then it suggests a fetal head. But if we feel a smooth irregular mass, then it suggests of fetal buttocks. If our hands are converging like this, then it means the head is not engaged. But in spite, if our hands are diverging like this, then it means the head has entered the pelvic rim and is engaged. Pollick's grip, the third Leopold. The examination is done by facing towards the patient. The woman is asked to flex the knees a little to relax the abdominal muscles. Then the thumb and the forefingers of the right hand is placed over the lower pole of the uterus, keeping the ulnar border of the palm on the upper border of the symphysis pubis. When the thumb and the forefingers are approximate, the presenting part is grasped distinctly by holding the fetus, and the mobility from side to side is checked. In a transverse lie, Pollick's grip is empty.
Descent of the presenting part is assessed by using fifth formula. In this, the line middle is the pelvic brim. Above the pelvic brim is the abdomen. Below the pelvic brim is the pelvic cavity. If the head is floating above the brim, we give 5 by 5. If the head is on the brim, we give 4 by 5. If the head is not engaged, we give 3 by 5. If the head has just engaged, we give 2 by 5. If the head has engaged, we give 1 by 5. And if the head has deeply engaged and is not palpable, then we give 0 by 5.
Now this completes the palpation with all the 4 grips. Now the third step is auscultation. In auscultation, we auscultate the fetal heart sound. The fetal heart sound is heard below the umbilicus in a cephalic presentation and around the umbilicus in a breech presentation. Normal fetal heart sound ranges from 110 to 160 beats per minute. The fetal heart sound is heard by using a fetoscope. Now this is the fetoscope. This end is known as the oral end and this end is the abdominal end. We'll keep the abdominal end on the abdomen and from the oral end we hear the fetal heart sound. If suppose we have got the back of the fetus in the left side of the abdomen, then we'll keep the fetoscope here in the abdomen in this way, the abdominal end on the fetus, and we'll hear from the oral end. We'll count the fetal heart sound for 1 full minute. And while counting the fetal heart sound, we'll remove this hand to avoid extraneous voices.
Uterine shuffle. It is a soft blowing and systolic murmur heard low down at the sides of the uterus, best on the left side. The sound is synchronous with the maternal pulse and is due to increase in blood flow through the dilated uterine vessels. Phonic shuffle is a blowing sound heard in synchronous with fetal heart sounds and may originate from the umbilical cord. Aftercare. Cover the patient's abdomen. Make the patient comfortable with left lateral position. Observe for premature contractions or any other discomfort. Replace the articles. Secure and clean the area. Hand washing. Documentation.